Good morning. I hope you're ready for another jump start to your day. We're looking at Hebrews chapter 2, verse 12, that I will declare and I will praise his name in the assembly. And so when you're assembled together, declaring Christ, praising his name, that's the easy part. When you're out in the world and the world needs to see you full of the Holy Spirit, they need to see Jesus Christ in us. And good morning, Christine. And as you're listening to me this morning, I hope you realize that there are people that are having difficulty with all the coping factors. Christians are having difficulty, others are having difficulty. People of faith and non-faith groups are having difficulty. But what's the difference? Good morning, Wendy. The deal is this, that we are supposed to have an answer from God that's supposed to bring comfort and joy and peace in the midst of turmoil. Christians are supposed to have the answer because Jesus Christ is supposed to be in us. We're not supposed to be sitting still, stagnant, and not having God's peace or God's joy in our lives. What we're supposed to do is come together in an assembly, be thankful, give praise to God, and give more room to the Holy Spirit to go in us and through us to help people out. That's the mandate of Jesus Christ. He says, go. He didn't say stay. You know, it's like telling the dog, stay, don't move, you know. And that's, he's not going to do that just because you say so. You have to train him with treats and everything else to motivate him to do that. And God motivates us by empowering us, excuse me, and indwelling us for the sole purpose of not for selfish possession, but to empty ourselves into other people by helping them. And that's why God sent us. But if we don't give God more room, we don't grow. So one of the easiest things about human nature that we've discovered is that we like this much of this and this much of that, and we piecemeal things, and it's been referred to as smorgasbord Christianity. I take a little of this and a little of that and a little of this and a little of that, but I'm really not going to open up and take everything. Well, if you really want to see Holy Spirit help you, you have to take everything that God has for you. And it's all good. It's really all good. And I want to encourage you that you can do this. You can do this. You can be joy in the room. You can be love in the room. You can be peace in the room. But you have to open yourselves up, and you have to risk somebody not liking it or being offended because you're happy. I mean, how many times I can't even count on my hand how many times in industry people were offended because I was happy on Monday morning to come to work. Why was I happy? Well, God gave me a job. I was thankful for a job. I was thankful to have guys that I could work with, and girls too. So here's the thing. Your attitude is a reflection of what's on the inside and whether there's enough room. And if there's not enough room for a good attitude, then you only have room for a bad attitude. And Christ is saying, hey, listen, get rid of the bad attitude. Give me the bad attitude. And let's do some replacement therapy. Let's do an exchange program. Let's make room for Holy Spirit to be more in you than outside of you. God's always looking for a place to move in. He's always looking for churches to move in. But people get stagnant because they don't want to get involved and just want to do their own thing. And yeah, welcome to the effects of culture in the church. So I want to encourage you that if you want to follow Jesus Christ and be a disciple, that you have to follow Jesus not at a distance but real close up. Even Jesus' disciples forbid blind Bartimaeus from crying out and appealing for his healing. Well, how silly is that? Imagine that. These spiritual leaders forbidding someone from being healed. But that's where humanism in the church goes. They're more mindful of themselves than they are of others. They should have encouraged him. He wouldn't have had to yell out if he'd have been encouraged to come to Jesus, if they'd have reached out to him. But they were all about them and only about them. They did the same thing with the kids. And Jesus said to them and rebuked them, forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. Hey, if God's telling you to get off your butt and get going, then you should get off your butt and get going. You know, it's not there for sitting down all the time. It's actually to enable you to keep your balance and move. And remember, unto him that is able to keep you from falling. That means you have to move. And as you lean forward, you move. So the church has a lesson here. You can declare, yeah, I've been filled with the Holy Spirit 50 years ago, but nothing's happened since. Well, why not? Because there's no room in the inn. Remember, your humanism will declare that Jesus has no room, that Holy Spirit has no room. So I want to jumpstart your day, be real thought-provoking, and say, are you got any room for Jesus? Do you have any room for the Holy Spirit with all the other stuff that's stuck in there? And if you need to do an exchange, you simply have to ask Christ to do an exchange program and say, take this junk from me. Good morning, Kathleen. And good morning, Tracy. So as you're tuning in, folks, I appreciate this. And jumpstart your day. It's Hebrews chapter 2. I'm having problems seeing here. 2 verse 12, or the first 12 verses of Hebrews chapter 2. And read that. Make room for Christ in your heart. Make room for Christ in your life. It's not just where you're comfortable. It's not just when you feel good. It's 24/7, 365. That's what makes God feel good. Remember, the Holy Spirit is always on the move, and we're supposed to be on the move too. And when you stop, there should be an overflow. But you should be provoked not to stay there. Remember, you have to move for the Holy Spirit to flow. All right? Good morning, Sandra and Rachel. So, jumpstart your day, Hebrews chapter 2, first 12 verses. And you can look again in the book of Acts and read what the church did. They had to move for the gospel to go. For the gospel to go, you have to move. For you to get to the grocery store, you have to move. For you to get from one room to the other in your apartment or your house, you have to move. And so God's not into stagnant. That's dead. That's death. That doesn't help anybody. Somebody has to do the cleanup. That's what we come in. We come in full of the Holy Spirit and show people that what's on the inside is coming on the outside. And there's a declared testimony in how we live that they say, holy smokes, I want that. That's life. That's not death. That's not condemnation. That's not corrosive. That's not abusive. That's life. I want that life. And that is what Jesus said to do. Go into all the world, preach the gospel, and make disciples. You don't make disciples sitting on your duff hoping that you're going to have a revival soon. It doesn't work that way. You want to be value added to your community? Do something for God. You want to start helping God in the ministry? Start cleaning up the garbage. Picking up the garbage at the church, picking up the garbage in your community. Why? Because you learn how to make others benefit because of the joy that's on the inside. And if somebody pulls over and says, what are you picking up that garbage for? Well, God told me to help make my community a better place to live in. There's a testimony right there. That's worth life. That's worth living. So you have yourself a great day. Don't mean to get too preachy on you, but you do need to move. You can't stay sitting, because if you do, your muscles are going to stop, and you're going to stop, and pretty soon you won't move at all. You'll be stiff as a mummy. Listen, you have yourself a great day. Like and share. Thank you for your love and trust, but we've got to get it moving, folks. You want revival? Move. You want revival? Pray. You want revival? Praise. Have a great day. Like and share. God bless you.